Welcome to my channel, where today we're going to talk about the fascinating world of the Jefferson nickel. These coins may look like ordinary 5-cent pieces, but many Jefferson nickels are actually rare, collectible, and surprisingly valuable. Certain dates, mint marks, and even small minting errors can make these coins worth far more than face value, and collectors are constantly searching for them. That's why I encourage you to stay with me and watch this video until the very end, because I'll explain exactly which Jefferson nickels are valuable, what details you should look for, and why these coins hold such an important place in American coin collecting history. If you've ever wondered whether the Jefferson nickels in your pocket change or coin jar could be worth money, this is the video you absolutely don't want to miss. First up, the most valuable 1962 Jefferson Nickel U.S. 5-cent coin. The 1962 U.S. Jefferson nickel is one of those coins that may appear ordinary at first glance, but when we take a closer look, it becomes clear that this coin holds real historical significance and potential value for collectors. Minted during a period of great change in America, the 1962 Jefferson nickel represents both the long-standing tradition of the 5-cent piece and the enduring legacy of Thomas Jefferson, whose portrait has been featured on the nickel since 1938. Many people overlook the Jefferson nickel because it has been in circulation for so many decades, but the 1962 issue in particular has details that make it interesting and, in certain cases, quite valuable to collectors who understand what to look for. The design of the Jefferson nickel remained consistent from its introduction in 1938 up until 2004, with Jefferson's portrait on the obverse and his home, Monticello, on the reverse. The 1962 Jefferson nickel fits into this long series, but its mintage figures, mint marks, and condition factors play a big role in determining its value. In 1962, two mints struck the Jefferson nickel, Philadelphia and Denver. The Philadelphia Mint produced a large number of these coins without a mint mark, while the Denver Mint coins carry the small D mint mark on the reverse. Although millions were struck at both facilities, finding a 1962 Jefferson nickel in pristine condition, especially with sharp strikes and full steps on Monticello, can make the coin far more desirable to collectors. When evaluating the 1962 Jefferson nickel, condition is extremely important. Coins that have been in circulation for decades usually show wear, which reduces their value. However, uncirculated examples, particularly those with full details, are much scarcer and therefore more valuable. Collectors often look for what is called full steps on Monticello, which means the steps on Jefferson's home are sharply struck and fully visible without major weakness or blending. A 1962 nickel with full steps is much harder to find, and that extra detail makes it valuable compared to a typical worn example. Even though the coin's face value is only 5 cents, examples in excellent condition or with special characteristics can be worth several dollars or even much more. Another important aspect of the 1962 Jefferson nickel is the fact that errors and varieties exist, and these can add tremendous value. Like other coins from the early 1960s, the striking process sometimes produced double dies, repunched mint marks, and other mistakes that collectors eagerly search for. A double die obverse or reverse from 1962 could easily make the coin significantly more valuable. Similarly, Jefferson nickels with off-center strikes, die cracks, or other noticeable errors often sell for premiums well beyond the standard coin. That means it's always worth checking your 1962 nickels carefully, because even a small minting error could transform an ordinary coin into a rare collectible. In terms of mintage, more than 97 million 1962 Jefferson nickels were struck in Philadelphia, while the Denver Mint produced over 280 million. Because of these high numbers, many people assume the 1962 nickel is common and has no value. But the truth is, while worn examples may not be rare, collectors are willing to pay much higher amounts for coins in superior condition, and for those with unique features, such as full steps or error varieties. In addition, certain proof issues were struck for collectors, and these proof nickels from 1962, with their mirror-like surfaces, are particularly attractive and can bring strong demand when well preserved. Proof coins from this year were struck in limited quantities compared to circulation strikes, making them much scarcer in the marketplace today. The value of a 1962 Jefferson nickel ultimately depends on a combination of its condition, whether it has full steps, the mint in which it was struck, and whether it carries an error or variety. A circulated coin might only bring a small premium over face value, but uncirculated examples, especially those graded at higher levels, can be worth much more. Collectors of Jefferson nickels often try to assemble complete date and mint mark sets, so they need coins from every year, including 1962. That steady demand means that even a common-looking coin can become valuable when it is in the right condition. What makes the 1962 nickel so interesting is that it falls into a time before the major design changes of the 21st century, meaning it retains that classic Jefferson and Monticello look that collectors love. For many people, the Jefferson Nickel series is the first set they try to collect, and coins like the 1962 issue play an important role in completing that journey. The historical connection to Jefferson, the architectural beauty of Monticello, and the simple fact that these coins have been in circulation for more than 60 years all add to their appeal. For collectors, it's always wise to check the nickels you have in storage or the change you receive in everyday transactions. While finding a rare 1962 nickel in circulation today might be difficult, it is not impossible, and there are still valuable examples out there waiting to be discovered. Imagine holding onto a nickel that appears ordinary but turns out to be a scarce proof, a full steps gem, or a rare error. That's why understanding the details of the 1962 Jefferson nickel is so important, because it could help you identify coins that other people overlook. So, the 1962 U.S. Jefferson nickel is more than just a piece of change from the early 1960s. It is a collectible coin with real potential value, especially in higher grades or with unique features. Collectors prize these coins, and their interest helps keep the value strong. The lesson with the 1962 nickel is clear. Always look carefully, always consider condition, and never assume a coin is just worth face value without doing your research. These coins are valuable, they carry history, and they continue to capture the attention of collectors more than 60 years after they were struck. Next up, the legendary 1992 Jefferson Nickel U.S. 5 cent with P mint mark. The 1992 U.S. Jefferson Nickel with the P mint mark is a coin that many people overlook, but collectors know that even a modern nickel from the 1990s can hold hidden value if you understand what to look for. Struck at the Philadelphia Mint, this 1992 Jefferson Nickel carries the small P mint mark on the reverse, which is an important detail for collectors who want to build a complete set of Jefferson nickels by year and mint. While billions of nickels have been produced over the decades, the 1992 issue is one of those coins that deserves more attention because condition, errors, and collector demand all play a role in making it valuable. This is not just an ordinary 5-cent coin, and that's why it's worth taking the time to learn about its history, its mintage, and the key features that make it collectible. The Jefferson nickel has been a familiar part of American coinage since 1938, when it replaced the Buffalo nickel. Its design featured a portrait of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and Monticello, his famous Virginia home, on the reverse. That design continued largely unchanged for decades, including the year 1992. By that time, the Jefferson Nickel had already become a long-running series, and collectors were actively searching for high-quality examples to complete their sets. The Philadelphia Mint struck hundreds of millions of these coins, and while a circulated 1992 P. Jefferson Nickel may seem common, the truth is that uncirculated examples with strong details can be surprisingly valuable. Condition is one of the most important factors when we talk about value. A 1992 Jefferson Nickel with the P mint mark that has been in circulation for many years usually shows signs of wear, which brings its value close to face value. But when a coin is preserved in mint state condition, especially with sharp details and a clean surface, its value increases significantly. Collectors place a premium on coins that have what is known as full steps on Monticello. Full steps mean the design on the reverse shows the stair steps of Jefferson's home with complete, clear lines. These are much harder to find on nickels from the 1990s, and in 1992, P with full steps can be much more valuable than a regular circulated example. Errors and varieties also make the 1992 P. Jefferson Nickel an exciting coin to look out for. Like many U.S. coins, mistakes during the minting process can lead to valuable errors. These include off-center strikes, die cracks, double dies, and repunched mint marks. Collectors especially love double die varieties, where parts of the design appear doubled due to a misalignment during the striking process. While not every 1992 P nickel will show such an error, those that do can be worth several times more than regular coins. That's why it's always a good idea to examine your 1992 nickels carefully, because what seems like an ordinary coin could turn out to be a rare and valuable collectible. The Philadelphia Mint produced a very large number of Jefferson Nickels in 1992, but that doesn't mean every example is easy to find in top condition. In fact, the large mintages often lead people to assume that all coins from this year are common and not worth keeping, but serious collectors know better. Even with high mintage numbers, coins with superb strikes, full steps, and error varieties are far less common and therefore more valuable. Collectors assembling full date and mint mark sets of Jefferson Nickels need the 1992 P issue to complete their collection, and they will often pay premiums for coins that stand out in condition and quality. It's also important to remember that the 1992 Jefferson Nickel falls into the later part of the classic design era, before the series went through major changes in the 2000s. For decades, Jefferson's portrait and Monticello defined the look of nickel, and collectors place strong value on coins from this era because they represent a long and uninterrupted tradition in U.S. coinage. The 1992 P fits right into that timeline, connecting the earlier years of the series with the modern updates that came later. For that reason alone, it holds an important spot in the Jefferson Nickel series. Another detail that adds to the interest of the 1992 P nickel is its age. While it may not seem old compared to coins from the 1940s or 1950s, the fact is that over 30 years have already passed since it was struck. During those decades, many of these coins have been heavily used, damaged, or lost to time. Finding a 1992 Jefferson Nickel with the P mint mark in pristine, original condition becomes more challenging with each passing year. That natural process of attrition is part of what gives surviving mint state coins their value, because they are much less common than the huge original mintage numbers might suggest. The 1992 P nickel also has value for people who are just beginning to explore coin collecting. Because it is a relatively recent issue, many collectors can still find it in circulation, in change, or in old jars of coins at home. This makes it an accessible starting point for new collectors who want to learn about Jefferson Nickels, while also having the possibility of discovering a valuable piece. The combination of accessibility and potential value makes the 1992 P an excellent teaching tool for anyone interested in U.S. coinage. At the same time, experienced collectors understand that coins from the 1990s are gaining more recognition as the series matures. What once seemed like common, everyday change is now being studied for its varieties and being sought after in high grades. The 1992 P. Jefferson Nickel is part of that trend, and its value continues to grow as collectors focus on completing their sets with the best possible examples. In this way, the coin not only has value today, but also holds future potential as interest in the Jefferson Nickel series remains strong. In conclusion, the 1992 U.S. Jefferson Nickel with the P mint mark is a coin worth paying attention to. While it may appear common at first glance, it can be quite valuable depending on condition, strike quality, and the presence of errors or varieties. Collectors prize examples with full steps, sharp details, and original luster, and they're always on the lookout for scarce error pieces. Even though millions were struck, finding coins in top condition becomes more difficult each year, and that scarcity helps drive up their value. So the next time you come across a 1992 Jefferson Nickel with the P mint mark, take a closer look, because you may be holding on to something much more valuable than just 5 cents. Next up, the iconic 1992 U.S. Jefferson Nickel coin with D mint mark. The 1987 U.S. Jefferson Nickel with the D mint mark is one of those coins that many people overlook, yet it holds surprising value and interest for collectors. Struck at the Denver Mint, this coin features the small D mint mark, And while at first glance it may look like ordinary pocket change, the truth is that the 1987 D. Jefferson nickel can be a valuable coin depending on its condition, strike quality, and whether it carries unique characteristics such as full steps or minting errors. That's why it's so important to understand the details of this coin, because while millions were minted, not all are created equal, and the most well-preserved examples are highly sought after by collectors. The Jefferson nickel has been a staple of U.S. coinage since 1938, when it replaced the Buffalo nickel. For decades, Americans have carried these coins in their pockets, and the design featuring Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and Monticello on the reverse became one of the most familiar in the country. By the time 1987 arrived, the Jefferson nickel had already been in production for nearly 50 years, and the design remained unchanged. This gives the 1987 D. Jefferson nickel a direct connection to the classic era of American coinage, making it a collectible piece of history. When looking at the value of the 1987 D. Jefferson nickel, condition is everything. A coin that has been in circulation for years and shows heavy wear will often only be worth face value. However, uncirculated examples with original luster, sharp details, and clean surfaces are far less common and can be worth much more. Collectors are especially interested in coins that display what are known as full steps on Monticello. The steps on Jefferson's home are part of the reverse design, and when they are struck clearly and completely, without flattening or blending, the coin becomes significantly more desirable. Full step examples of the 1987 D. Jefferson nickel are much harder to find, and that scarcity adds real value. The Denver Mint struck hundreds of millions of Jefferson nickels in 1987, but high mintages don't always mean the coin has no value. In fact, coins with exceptional strikes, proof-like surfaces, or unique errors can stand out from the crowd. Collectors are always on the lookout for double-die varieties, repunched mint marks, off-center strikes, die cracks, and other minting errors. These mistakes make a coin unique, and in the world of coin collecting, uniqueness translates into value. Even a small misprint or doubling on a 1987 D. Jefferson nickel can dramatically increase its worth compared to a standard issue. Another important point to consider is the age of the 1987 D. nickel. While not as old as coins from the 1940s or 1950s, this coin has already been in circulation for nearly 4 decades. Over time, many of these coins have been worn down, damaged, or simply lost. That natural attrition means that well-preserved mint-state coins are scarcer today than the original mintage numbers might suggest. For collectors, finding a 1987 D. Jefferson nickel in pristine condition can be a real challenge, and that's why these coins carry extra value in the marketplace. For those assembling complete collections of Jefferson nickels, the 1987 D is a necessary piece to fill out the set. Collectors want every year and mint mark, and the Denver issue of 1987 is no exception. Demand from collectors who need this coin helps to maintain its value. The coin's importance within the larger Jefferson Nickel series cannot be overstated, because each year represents a part of American history, and the 1987 D stands as a representative of the late 1980s, a decade of significant cultural and economic change in the United States. It is also worth mentioning that 1987 proof Jefferson nickels were struck at the San Francisco Mint, but those coins carry the S mint mark. For collectors focused specifically on the D mint mark coins, the Denver strikes are the ones that matter, and finding them in high grade is the real challenge. Proof-like qualities, strong strikes, and full steps can all add premiums to the value of the 1987 D Jefferson nickel. Another factor that adds to the value of this coin is the growing interest in modern U.S. coinage. For a long time, collectors placed greater emphasis on much older coins, but in recent years, coins from the 1970s, 1980s, and 1990s have been gaining more recognition. As more collectors begin to focus on completing modern series, coins like the 1987 D Jefferson nickel become increasingly desirable. That shift in demand is helping to raise the value of these coins, especially those in the best condition. Collectors know that it's not just about rarity. It's about condition, desirability, and historical importance. The 1987 D. Jefferson Nickel may not be rare in raw numbers, but a flawless example with full steps and no marks is not easy to find. That combination of condition and demand is what makes this coin valuable. Anyone who has coins from this era should take the time to look closely at their nickels, because you never know when you might come across a gem that could be worth far more than 5 cents. In summary, the 1987 U.S. Jefferson nickel with the D mint mark is much more than just an ordinary piece of change. It is a collectible coin with real value, especially when found in uncirculated condition with full steps or as part of a unique era variety. Its place in the long-running Jefferson Nickel series makes it essential for collectors, and the growing interest in modern coinage only adds to its appeal. While many people may overlook the 1987 D nickel as common, those who understand its importance know that it is a valuable coin that deserves recognition in the world of numismatics. Now, we'll explore the super rare 1969 U.S. Jefferson Nickel coin with D mint mark. The 1969 U.S. Jefferson Nickel with the D mint mark is one of those coins that might look like ordinary change at first glance, but collectors know it can actually be a valuable coin depending on the details. Struck at the Denver Mint, this coin carries the small D mint mark on the reverse, and while millions were produced, not every example has survived in the same condition. This is why the 1969 D. Jefferson Nickel is so important to talk about, because collectors continue to search for high-quality examples, rare errors, and full-step varieties that can make this coin worth much more than face value. It may only say 5 cents, but the 1969 D. Jefferson Nickel is a coin that carries history, collectability, and value. The Jefferson Nickel series has been a part of American coinage since 1938, replacing the Buffalo nickel. Designed by Felix Schlag, the series features Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and his home, Monticello, on the reverse. That same design continued for decades, including in 1969, which means the 1969 D nickel fits right into the long tradition of classic Jefferson nickels. While people often assume coins from the late 1960s are too modern to be valuable, the truth is that condition, rarity of certain details, and collector demand all make the 1969 D. Jefferson Nickel a coin worth paying attention to. When we talk about the value of the 1969 D. Jefferson Nickel, the single most important factor is condition. A heavily circulated example that has been used for years will usually only be worth its face value. But if you find a 1969 D nickel that has been preserved in mint state condition, with original luster and sharp details, the value can increase dramatically. Collectors pay particular attention to what is known as full steps on Monticello. The steps of Jefferson's home are part of the reverse design, and if those steps are completely visible and fully struck, the coin is much scarcer and much more valuable. Full step examples from 1969 are not common, and this is one reason why the 1969 D nickel can surprise collectors with its value. Another reason the 1969 D. Jefferson Nickel can be valuable is because of minting errors and die varieties. Like many coins of the 1960s, mistakes during the minting process sometimes created unique coins. A double die, where parts of the design appear doubled, can make a coin worth far more than usual. Repunched mint marks, off-center strikes, die cracks, or other unusual features can also transform an ordinary nickel into something rare and collectible. These era coins are often one of a kind or produced in very limited numbers, which makes them especially valuable to collectors who specialize in unique pieces. It's always worth taking the time to closely examine a 1969 D. Jefferson Nickel, because what looks ordinary at first could actually be an era coin that is worth much more than its face value. The Denver Mint struck over 100 million Jefferson Nickels in 1969, and while that may seem like a huge number, survival in high grades is much lower. Decades of circulation have worn down most of these coins, leaving only a fraction in pristine condition. This natural process of wear and tear makes the higher quality coins more valuable today. For example, a well-worn 1969 D nickel may be common, but a mint state coin with full steps could be scarce enough to bring strong premiums from collectors. That difference between common and valuable comes down to condition and detail, which is why collectors spend so much time searching for the best examples. Another aspect that adds to the appeal of the 1969 D nickel is its place in the timeline of U.S. coinage. The late 1960s was a period of major change for American coins, especially following the switch from silver to clad coinage in 1965. While the nickel itself did not change composition, the environment of the era makes coins from 1969 part of a very important chapter in U.S. minting history. Collectors value coins not only for their metal or design, but also for the history they represent. The 1969 D. Jefferson Nickel captures a moment in time, connecting the Jefferson design of the past with the modern coins we use today. For collectors who aim to build a complete set of Jefferson nickels by year and mint mark, the 1969 D is a necessary coin. Every date and every mint is important to completing the series, and the Denver issues are always part of that challenge. Collectors are not just looking for any 1969 D, but for the best example they can find, which is why the demand for high-grade coins is so strong. The fact that collectors are willing to pay more for coins in exceptional condition shows clearly that the 1969 D. Jefferson nickel is valuable. It's also important to remember that the age of this coin adds to its appeal. More than 50 years have passed since the 1969 D. nickel was first struck, and over that time, countless examples have been lost, damaged, or heavily circulated. Each passing year makes uncirculated survivors harder to find, and this natural scarcity gives the coin its value in today's market. A coin that has survived more than 5 decades without significant wear is always going to stand out to collectors. The 1969 D. Jefferson nickel is also valuable as a teaching tool for new collectors, because it can still sometimes be found in circulation. It provides a way for beginners to start learning about mint marks, condition, and the concept of full steps. At the same time, it rewards experienced collectors with the challenge of locating the best quality examples and hunting for rare errors. This balance of accessibility and challenge is part of what makes the Jefferson Nickel series, and especially coins like the 1969 D, so interesting and valuable. In conclusion, the 1969 U.S. Jefferson Nickel with the D mint mark is not just another 5-cent piece. It is a coin that carries history, collectability, and real value. Its worth depends on condition, strike quality, and the presence of errors or varieties. While many circulated examples may only be worth face value, uncirculated coins, full-step varieties, and unique error coins can all be valuable and highly prized by collectors. This is why the 1969 D nickel should never be overlooked. Every coin tells a story, and in the case of the 1969 D. Jefferson Nickel, that story is one of survival, quality, and collector demand. So whenever you come across one of these coins, take a closer look, because you might be holding something far more valuable than just 5 cents. As you stayed with me until the very end, now you know why the 1969 U.S. Jefferson Nickel with the D mint mark is not just an ordinary 5-cent piece, but a valuable collectible coin that deserves attention. From its history to its condition factors, from full steps on Monticello to rare minting errors, every detail plays a role in making this coin worth more than its face value. The truth is that coins like the 1969 D. Jefferson Nickel prove that even change from decades ago can be surprisingly valuable, and collectors are always searching for the best examples. That's why it's so important to always check your nickels carefully, because you never know when you might find hidden treasure. Thank you for watching this video until the very end. And remember, the 1969 D. Jefferson Nickel is a coin that truly shows us that what looks common can actually be rare and valuable.